everybody. Amanda Coulong with TechZulu.com, live here from South by Southwest Interactive. We are in the Alcatel-Lucent Lounge, and I am joined by Sanjay Parekh, and I know you can't really see this, but he tells you how to say his name on his card, which is just awesome. Like the phonetics of it. I'm kind of geeky that way, and I love it. I'm a geek for phonetics, International Phonetic Alphabet. Anyway, but Startup Riot. I keep hearing so much about these curated events, like startup events. What are you doing with Startup Riot that has people going so crazy?
So what we're doing is, we're really trying to help entrepreneurs out. And so one of the things that I saw as an entrepreneur is that you go to these events and you're just inundated by people that are trying to sell you stuff. Oh, yeah. And so we decided to do something different.
You're like, hello, I'm a startup. I don't have money to buy any of this stuff.
I know, right? So, and there's nothing wrong with those folks. I mean, we need those folks to sell those services, but there's certain points of time that, you really need the entrepreneurs to be there by themselves with the investors and the folks that can really support them so they can get to that level where the service folks can sell them stuff. So early on I decided, I wanted to start this event, Startup Riot, and give back. And so I wanted to do things differently. So we're
social good, baby, right there.
So we're not focused on, making just gobs of money or anything else like that. We want to do things the way we want to do things. And so I'm a little bit militant about some of those things. And one of those is keeping out service providers. So unless you're a sponsor, anybody that's a service provider, a lawyer, accountant, recruiter, consultant, any of those folks, they're not allowed to come. And so what that means is that we've got entrepreneurs, investors, corporate folks that buy from startups or buy startups, and then the folks that support entrepreneurship, so SBA and folks like that, incubators and folks like that.
And that means you're creating a culture that is much more laid back, and they don't have their guard up as much, and you're just creating an atmosphere, if you will, at Startup Riot events where people can be more open.
Right, yeah, and exactly. The whole point of the event is that everybody in the room is somebody that you should meet. So going along that idea, we do some other different things. We change the name badges. You got your name on there really big. There's no identifier about the company, what kind of person you are, anything else like that. Who's an investor, who's an entrepreneur, none of that stuff. And actually this year we added something. We added your Twitter handle. That was like the big addition this year. That's it. Right? So the information about the event that you're at is tiny on there because everybody knows you're at Startup Riot, right? You don't need to know that on the name badge. You need to know people's names, and I'm really bad with names, and so I like to be able to see somebody's name from
really big. I like that.
Huge.
I really wish people would put them on their foreheads. I've done that before, that I am, like the name badge sticker right on my forehead so that people will look there instead of, other places.
Yeah, well, yeah, and we try to, and we heard that complaint too from women, and so we try to fix that too. And if you have your name really big, as you're walking up to somebody 20 feet away, you can read their name and not have to be, looking in inappropriate places. So those are some of the things that we do. We've got a lot of sponsors for the event that support entrepreneurship, and even with those folks, we've fired sponsors in the past too, because...
You have?
Yeah, we're not, I would rather have an event that loses money that's great than a bad event that makes money.
No wonder people like you so much. And you've been written up everywhere, right? Everyone's talking about these Startup Riot events.
Yeah, there's definitely been some press on the event, and we're a pretty lean, kind of mean organization. Just last year I hired my first person into the organization, and we just did our 5th event in Atlanta, 5th annual event. We've expanded to Seattle as well for the annual event, and now we launched career fairs last year as well, and we do the same thing with the career fairs. If you're like, say, a marketing person and we don't have any marketing jobs, we don't let you come. Because...
Well, why? Why bother?
Exactly. The worst thing that we could do is waste somebody's time that's looking for a job. That would just be horrific for us to do.
Very good point. This person needs a job. Why put them in front of someone who's irrelevant for them?
Exactly. It's bad on both sides of it. And I think most of the people that apply for our career fair understand that. So you have to apply, and then we approve you, and then you're able to come. There's no fee for coming to that event. And our main event, too, we do it very inexpensively. So $30 to $70 to attend an all-day event. And one of the other things that we do is we don't feed you lunch at our event because conference food is expensive and bad. And so instead we send people out, and so they can spend as little or as much as they want and get whatever quality food that they want, right?
Smart idea.
And so, so the career fair too, we've started branching that out. We're in more cities than just Atlanta and Seattle. We've gone to DC. We're looking at some other cities as well.
Come to Los Angeles.
It's definitely on the list. And so if there's enough need, if enough startups want us to come, we'll definitely do that. and we keep it inexpensive for the startups too, and it's really about having a good hit rate. So 60 to 70% of our startups have at least one offer that they make coming out of our events.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, like, what are the results after the fact?
Yeah, I mean, we've had some amazing stories. I've had emails coming into my inbox from people that have found jobs that are still in my inbox because they're just so awesome. I had one guy that he was months away from graduating. He didn't have a job, didn't have any prospects, happened to see our event, came, ended up finding a job, wrote me this unbelievably nice email that was really long, just telling me how awesome I was and the event was, and it was just great. It really makes it like that's the reason why we do those events.
Yeah. And it feels good. It actually feels good.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the kind of the point of anything that any of us do, or at least most of us, is that we want to do good things, right? And when you see those results, that's really what it's all about.
Now, you're in Atlanta, yeah?
Right, exactly.
So what's the scene like there, the tech scene there? How has it changed since you started doing Startup Riot?
Yeah, so I actually have a longer view than that. So in '99, I started up my first company, Digital Envoy, so IP-based location. So knowing where somebody is on the internet, knowing only their IP address. So the ads that you get.
Dun, dun, dun.
It's not scary though, we don't track people. So those ads that you get based on where you're located, that's more than likely my technology. Netflix and Hulu, the fact that you can't get them outside of the US is my fault, so sorry.
Oh.
So there's definitely the bad side that comes on with anything that gets created. But looking at kind of the scene that we had in '99, so those were kind of bubble days, and I raised $12 million for my previous startup. It's changed a lot, right? So we were kind of going along with the bubble, and then everything imploded, and it's been a ghost town, for a long time since then. I think we've got a really great community that's rallied around a lot of things that are going on. We have Startup Drinks now every month. It's a consistently great event. The Startup Bus guys who are here at SXSWi from Florida, they actually stopped by. They were actually there on the day of Startup Drinks this month, and so it was a really nice event. Unfortunately, I didn't get to go, but I heard it was huge. Yeah. But consistently we get sometimes over 100 people at those events at Startup Drinks. Now we've seen some of the corporate folks starting to get involved. So this year at Startup Riot we had Home Depot involved, as well as Internet that was local, and I'm probably forgetting some other folks, so my apologies, but a lot of corporate folks are starting to get involved and pay attention and support the local scene, which is great. Not to say everything is just rosy. Right. We have a long way to go, but I think things are better now than they were just a couple of years ago, and definitely more than 10 years ago. They're much better now than then.
Well, great. So you're a serial entrepreneur. You went from, some pretty big back-end technology stuff to doing events. How did you make that leap? Why not do another data-focused sort of startup?
That's a good question. And
woohoo! Oh, there goes my phone.
That's a good question. And I tell people, people talk to me about doing events all the time now. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, don't do events. That's if you want to make money, that's not a good way to. There's so many better ways to make money.
You're like, I've made my money. I just want to feel good now.
I don't know about that, but for me, my higher purpose was I wanted to help, and I wanted to give back and help out other entrepreneurs.
Right on. Props to you.
Yeah, and so that's really the reason why. I mean, the first time I did Startup Riot, I came up with the idea and turned it around in about 2 months by myself. And we had 220 attendees that first time.
You're onto something.
Right, exactly. And it's grown by about 100 attendees every year. And so, this year we were at 560 registered attendees at the event. So really that's kind of what it's about. That's why I'm doing these events. That's why we've got other people helping me with these events. It's about giving back. And so that's not to say that there isn't other stuff that we're not going to work on. There's some side stuff that we've discovered kind of along the way that we're working on that's kind of come up because of Startup Riot. So it's not that we're just going to be event focused from here on out.
Right. Well, everything grows and changes and gets extensions and whatnot, except me. I don't get those. Sorry. Well, it's wonderful finally meeting you because I've heard so many good things about Sanjay, and I just saw Mike Townsend, go running across the room to be like, Sanjay, so that's why we were waiting to get him on camera, because Mike Townsend, darn you took him over. But now we have him, so anyway. But thank you so much for joining us. So if people want to learn more about it, it's mainly in Atlanta right now, but you're expanding out.
Atlanta and Seattle for the main event, but we get people from all over. I mean, we have international presenters at the event. We had some folks from the Ukraine come to the event just to attend this year. So people from all over. It's not just an Atlanta event.
So if you are elsewhere, you can still go to Atlanta. You can go to, what's the other one, Seattle you just said?
Atlanta and Seattle, and actually the other thing I was going to mention is that one of the things that we did, because the ticket prices are so low, we actually get people to contribute to a voluntary donation fund, travel fund, so for our presenters that are traveling, to help them defray the cost of getting to Atlanta or Seattle.
Yeah, that's wonderful. This really is a whole feel-good thing.
Absolutely.
Well, definitely keep us posted. We want to know more about what Startup Riot's up to, and if you come to Los Angeles, and what?
And you guys should maybe come to the event and set up shop there. Seattle, Atlanta,
I know.
I'm saying.
People want TechZulu to travel. We've been hearing that a lot here at South by. So
You're in Austin, you should come to Atlanta and Seattle. Come on.
I know. Well, we'll have to get on that. We'll get on a plane, planes, trains, and automobiles, and we will make our way to Atlanta.
Awesome.
Sanjay, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
There you go, Sanjay, and make sure you've got to see his business card one more time. See startupriot.com.